Samuel Eto'o's path to football stardom was littered with roadblocks, poverty, rejection, and being constantly overlooked. For many, these hurdles would have ended the dream. But for Eto'o, they were fuel. He wasn't just trying to make it, he was fighting to prove that a boy from the streets of Cameroon could become one of the most feared strikers football had ever seen. In the end, he didn't just succeed, he shattered records that still stand today, and might never be broken. Growing up in Cameroon meant football dreams came with little support. The country's limited infrastructure meant no elite academies, no advanced coaching, and certainly no shiny boots. Eto'o had none of the privileges European youngsters enjoyed, just a worn-out ball, a relentless hunger, and a family that sacrificed what little they had to keep his dream alive. For him, even a pair of football boots was a luxury. But hunger has a way of sharpening talent, and Eto'o's obsession with the game was impossible to ignore. At 15, that obsession caught the eye of European scouts. In 1996, the impossible happened. He got an offer to join Real Madrid's youth academy. For a boy from the streets of Douala, it was like stepping into another universe. But dreams in football are fragile. In Spain, Eto'o faced an unforgiving reality, a new language he didn't speak, a playing style that didn't suit him, and a system where young African strikers were not a priority. Madrid barely gave him game time, and instead of nurturing his talent, they sent him on loan after loan, Leganes, Espanyol, Mallorca. Those moves could have buried him, but Mallorca became his proving ground. Away from Madrid's politics, Eto'o thrived. The island embraced him. The fans saw his fire. The team played for him. In 2000, Mallorca signed him permanently for €4.4 million, a record fee for the club, but one that would soon look like a bargain. Eto'o became more than just a striker. He became their hero. His blistering pace, raw power, and lethal finishing turned Mallorca into giant killers. He fired them to their first ever Copa del Rey in 2003, and when the club couldn't afford to feed fans traveling for a final, Eto'o personally paid €30,000 for their meals. "The fans are the heart of this team," he said. "Without them, we are nothing." By now, Europe's biggest clubs wanted him, and in 2004, Barcelona came calling. They were building a revolution under Frank Rijkaard, and needed a ruthless forward to lead the line. Eto'o was perfect. For €24 million, he made the jump, and he had unfinished business with Real Madrid, who had given up on him. He wasted no time. In his debut season, Eto'o scored 29 goals, helping Barcelona end a 6-year title drought and dethrone Madrid. His partnership with Ronaldinho was pure chaos for defenses. Ronaldinho created magic. Eto'o delivered the kill. One night to find his revenge, a 3-2-0 demolition of Real Madrid at Camp Nou. Eto'o scored the opener, then sprinted to the corner flag, arms wide, eyes blazing. It wasn't just a goal, it was justice. The following season, he went even higher, 34 goals, the Pichichi Trophy, another La Liga title, and in the 2006 Champions League final, he made history, scoring the equalizer against Arsenal, becoming the first African player to score in a UCL final. Barcelona went on to win, and Eto'o was named man of the match. But glory always comes with battles. A devastating knee injury in 2006 kept him out for 5 months. When he returned, he was still lethal, 11 goals in 19 games, but tensions inside the squad began to boil. His blunt honesty clashed with teammates and management, and a rift with Ronaldinho made headlines. "I was the focus of all the negative attention," Eto'o would later say. "It was an unfair fight, but I stayed focused on my job." Even in the turbulent 2007-08 season, when Barcelona fell to third in La Liga, Eto'o reminded the world who he was, a cold-blooded finisher. A hat-trick against Levante was his statement. He was still at the top, still dangerous, and far from done. Eto'o's journey was never about comfort. It was about defying the odds, thriving under pressure, and refusing to be written off. From the streets of Douala to the grandest stages in football, he proved that hunger, resilience, and sheer belief can take you further than anyone thinks possible. Barcelona was at a crossroads. The magic of the early 2000s had faded, the squad was aging, and the hunger that once defined them had dulled. What they needed was a complete reset, a revolution both in philosophy and in mentality. That reset arrived in the summer of 2008, in the unlikely form of Pep Guardiola, a young and untested coach who had never managed at the top level. Many doubted him, especially when he began making bold, almost reckless decisions. One of those decisions shocked the football world. Rumors had been swirling for months that Samuel Eto'o, Barcelona's prolific but controversial striker, would be sold. His fiery personality and strained relationship with parts of the dressing room had fueled speculation that his time at the Camp Nou was over. Yet Guardiola, rather than discarding him, decided to make Eto'o a central pillar of his vision. It was a gamble, and it turned out to be a masterstroke. The 2008-09 season became the most successful in Barcelona's history. Eto'o was unstoppable, scoring 36 goals in all competitions. His finishing was ruthless. his movement razor-sharp, and his work rate relentless. Barcelona stormed to the La Liga title, crushed opponents to win the Copa del Rey, and capped it all off by lifting the Champions League trophy, completing a historic treble. In the Champions League final against Manchester United, Eto'o struck early. Just 10 minutes in, he cut inside Nemanja Vidic, slipped past him with a sudden burst of pace, and slotted the ball past Edwin van der Sar. That goal shattered United's confidence and set the tone for a dominant 2-0 victory. It wasn't just another goal, it was a statement. Eto'o had now scored in 2 Champions League finals and won both, the first player in history to do so. Surrounded by icons like Ronaldinho, Lionel Messi, Xavi, and Andres Iniesta, Eto'o wasn't just another star, he was the spearhead of the attack. His presence created space for others, his goals decided titles, and his competitive fire ignited the entire squad. That Barcelona team played football so beautiful it felt like art. And at the tip of that masterpiece stood Samuel Eto'o, relentless, underrated, unforgettable. But football is cruel, and glory doesn't guarantee loyalty. In the summer of 2009, despite being at the peak of his powers, Eto'o's Barcelona chapter came to a sudden and shocking end. Guardiola, chasing a different tactical vision, decided to part ways with his top scorer. In one of the most sensational transfer deals of the decade, Eto'o was included in a swap with Inter Milan for Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Barcelona paid €46 million plus, Eto'o valuing the Cameroonian legend at only €20 million. Fans were stunned. He didn't want to leave, but he had no choice. At Inter, Eto'o joined a squad led by Jose Mourinho, a tactical genius and master motivator. The team was filled with experienced players, some considered past their prime: Javier Zanetti, Esteban, Cambiaso, Diego Milito. Critics doubted them, but Mourinho had a vision, and Eto'o was its beating heart. His first season in Italy was nothing short of historic. Inter defied expectations, winning Serie A, the Coppa Italia, and the UEFA Champions League. A treble. Eto'o became the first player in football history to win back-to-back trebles with 2 different clubs. It was the ultimate proof of his greatness. Wherever he went, titles followed. He wasn't just a striker, he was a serial winner, a big-game predator, and a player who thrived when the stakes were highest. His legacy was sealed not just as one of the greatest African players ever, but as one of football's true all-time greats. Eto'o's role at Inter Milan was unlike anything he had experienced at Barcelona. Under Pep, he had been the sharp spearhead of a free-flowing attacking machine. Under Mourinho, he became something else entirely, a soldier willing to fight, on every inch of the pitch. Mourinho didn't just see Eto'o as a striker, he saw him as a weapon that could be deployed anywhere. Sometimes he was the winger sprinting down the flank, other times he was deep in his own half chasing back to tackle, cutting off passing lanes, and throwing himself into duels. Eto'o embraced it without ego. He sacrificed personal glory, the golden boots, the headlines, all for the greater good of the team. That selflessness became Inter's secret weapon. In Serie A, Eto'o still delivered, scoring 12 goals and providing 5 assists. But his true value was in the intangibles: the pressing, the tracking back, the relentless sprints into space that tore defenses apart. In the Coppa Italia final, he was everywhere, driving Inter to a 1-0 victory over Roma. But it was in the Champions League where his transformation reached its peak. Fate handed Inter a semi-final against none other than Barcelona, the club that had just let him go. It was more than a match. It was a clash of footballing philosophies: Guardiola's elegant artistry versus Mourinho's ruthless pragmatism. At the San Siro, Inter stunned the world with a 3-1 win, and Eto'o's fingerprints were all over it, both in attack and in the gritty defensive work that suffocated his old teammates. The return leg at the Camp Nou was pure theater. Reduced to 10 men early on, Inter staged one of the most iconic defensive displays in football history. Eto'o, a Champions League winning striker, spent the night as an auxiliary fullback, sprinting and tackling as if the final whistle would decide his destiny. They lost 1-0, but advanced 3-2 on aggregate, Barcelona beaten. The ghost of his departure avenged on Madrid's final. Inter faced Bayern Munich. Once again, Eto'o was pushed to the wing. Once again he adapted. Diego Milito scored twice, one set up by Eto'o's perfectly weighted pass, sealing a 2-0 win. As the final whistle echoed through the Bernabeu, Eto'o stood as the only man in history to win back-to-back trebles with 2 different clubs, a living testament to adaptability, sacrifice, and greatness. The following season marked a new chapter for Samuel Eto'o at Inter Milan, with Jose Mourinho departing for Real Madrid. Rafael Benitez stepped in as the new manager, inheriting a team still fresh off their incredible treble-winning campaign. However, the squad struggled to maintain that same level of dominance. Despite the challenges, Eto'o rose to the occasion, stepping into a more central role in Inter's attack and carrying much of the offensive burden himself. That season turned out to be Eto'o's most prolific yet. He dazzled fans and critics alike. By netting an impressive 37 goals across all competitions, including 21 goals in Serie A, the highest tally of his career, in Italy's top flight. His clutch performances played a pivotal role in helping Inter secure the Supercoppa Italiana title, as well as triumph in the FIFA Club World Cup, where he famously scored twice in the final against TP Mazembe. Yet, while Ito continued to shine, individually, the team's overall form in Serie A and the UEFA Champions League was inconsistent. This slump led to the dismissal of Benitez midway through the season. Leonardo took over managerial duties and managed to steer Inter to a respectable second-place finish in the league. Unfortunately, their Champions League campaign ended in heartbreak with a quarter-final exit at the hands of Through these ups and downs, Eto'o remained a beacon of brilliance, finishing as Inter's top scorer and reinforcing his reputation as one of the world's elite forwards. However, the 2011-12 season marked the beginning of the end for Eto'o. Time at Inter Milan, the once mighty team, was visibly in decline. Weighed down by aging stars struggling to maintain their former peak, Inter endured their worst Serie A finish in over a decade, landing in 6th place, and suffered an early exit from the Champions League. It became clear the club was facing a rebuilding phase. Off the pitch, financial troubles started to cast a shadow over Inter's future. Strapped for cash, the club made the difficult decision to sell their prized striker. In the summer of 2011, Eto'o made a surprising move to Russian side Anzhi Makashkala, driven largely by financial incentives. The transfer made headlines as Anzhi offered Eto'o a record-breaking salary of €20 million per year, crowning him the highest-paid player on the planet at that time. The move shocked many, as Anzhi was far from being a traditional football powerhouse, but Eto'o embraced it as a fresh challenge. During his 2 seasons with Anzhi, Eto'o continued to display his scoring prowess, netting 36 goals in 73 appearances. He was instrumental in helping the club qualify for the Europa League and reach the Russian Cup final, injecting excitement and ambition into the team. Unfortunately, Anzhi's grand project was short-lived, as financial instability forced the club to offload its star players, leading to Eto'o's departure in 2013. After leaving Anzhi, Samuel Eto'o's career entered its twilight years, with him playing for several clubs across Europe and beyond. Despite no longer being at his peak, Eto'o continued to demonstrate his talent, experience, and leadership wherever he went. In the summer of 2013, he reunited with his former Inter Milan manager Jose Mourinho at Chelsea. Although past his prime, Eto'o proved he still had a knack for shining in big moments, scoring 12 goals in 35 appearances, including a memorable hat-trick and a thrilling 3-1 victory over Manchester United. The following season saw Eto'o making 20 appearances and scoring 4 goals before leaving Chelsea in January 2015. His journey then took him back to Italy, where he briefly joined Sora, but it wasn't long before he moved on to Turkish club Antalyaspor later that year. In Turkey, Eto'o experienced a remarkable resurgence, dazzling fans by netting 44 goals in 77 appearances over 2 seasons and quickly becoming a beloved figure. After his successful stint in Turkey, he joined Kayserispor in 2018 before finishing his playing career in Qatar with Qatar SC, retiring in 2019. While Eto'o's club career was nothing short of extraordinary, his achievements on the international stage were equally legendary. Representing Cameroon, he became the nation's all-time leading scorer with an incredible 56 goals in 118 appearances. His international career was marked by moments of brilliance and historic triumphs that helped elevate African football to new heights. Eto'o's first major international success came at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, where he played a crucial role in helping Cameroon win the gold medal by overcoming Spain in a dramatic final. After coming from behind to level the game to 2-2, Cameroon triumphed 5-3 in the penalty shootout, etching their name in history. This victory was a defining moment not only for Eto'o but also for African football on the global stage, he continued. His dominance by playing a pivotal role in Cameroon's back-to-back African Cup of Nations (AFCON) victories in 2000 and 2002. In the 2000 tournament, Eto'o scored in the tense final against Nigeria, which ended 2-2 and was decided on penalties, with Cameroon emerging victorious 4-3 2 years later. His contributions were again vital, as Cameroon claimed another AFCON title, with Eto'o scoring crucial goals throughout the competition. Despite his international successes, Eto'o faced challenges as Cameroon struggled in the FIFA World Cup tournaments, failing to advance beyond the group stages in 2002, 2010, and 2014. Nevertheless, his leadership, skill, and commitment made him a beacon of hope and inspiration for African football. Eto'o's individual accolades include being named African Player of the Year for Tom's record at the Tom, and he remains one of Africa's greatest football icons. His career after Ansi and his legendary international legacy cemented his status as one of the sport's all-time greats. From winning Olympic gold and multiple AFCON titles to shining atop European clubs, Eto'o's story is one of unparalleled talent, resilience, and relentless ambition. Even in the twilight of his career, he continued to inspire fans and teammates with his passion and professionalism, leaving an indelible mark on the beautiful game. In conclusion, Samuel Eto'o's career is a vibrant tapestry woven from extraordinary skill, determination, and a relentless pursuit of greatness. From his humble beginnings in Cameroon to his glory days at Barcelona, Inter Milan, and as captain of the indomitable Lions, Eto'o shattered records and defied expectations. More than a prolific goalscorer, he was a leader, a versatile tactician, and a symbol of hope for African football. His ability to adapt to different leagues, tactical systems, and roles showcased his exceptional football intelligence. Whether winning trebles, lifting international trophies, or inspiring generations with his passion, Eto'o left a legacy that transcends goals and trophies. It's a story of resilience, sacrifice, and unwavering self-belief. Samuel Eto'o's name will forever be etched in football history as a true icon. If you want to discover the story of the manager who saved Messi's career, be sure to check out our video here.